I am Nat.
And I'm Guy. And this is your home for everything Alberta independence, broadcasting live 6 days a week at 5 p.m. Nat just loves to mess with the cameras with me. Let's get right into it there.
That was not on purpose. The dog's jumping on me and I forgot what I was supposed to do.
She was bickering with me right before the show, so I'm sure the camera switches were on purpose.
I was not bickering with you. I was saying the dog loves me more.
Loves to push those buttons.
That's not true. She's pushing my buttons. She keeps jumping up and down. But before we start, thank you so much for joining us today. Please don't forget to subscribe because it really does help us out. We try to read all your comments live, but sometimes we might not get to them after each segment. However, if you feel so inclined and really want your comment read, you can always super chat us and we pause the whole show for those. And also we have memberships.
Yeah, that's the best way to support the show. And I will say we didn't have our afternoon show today because you had your regular guest appearance every other week on WDW Pro, so that went great.
Yes, and I usually announce it or post the link to the show on X and here on the community post, but I do understand a lot of people don't get to see that before looking for us. Well,
and I'll also say the Fringe did stream at around our regular time, so I was watching it while she was doing her guest appearance. Yeah, he's just trying to keep things moving in the right direction, and it's good to see. There's a lot of different organizations people can go and donate where they will and what they want to do or what kind of suits them best, I guess. Especially because every organization seems to be dramatically different. What the Fringe and Keith Wilson are doing are different from Mitch, are different from Jason Levine, and is different from Corey Morgan, who's doing billboards and yard signs.
And we do want to continue to showcase as many as we can, maybe interview the organizers or the ones at the head of them. So it is something that we're looking into as well.
We're going through a transition right now, so there's going to be a little bit less content over the next couple of weeks where we get everything up and running.
Yes, but I'll start saying hello to Glenn Gunn, who says hello again from somewhat stormy, sunny Calgary. Hello, and Harmony says I, but I'm guessing it was a hi. So hello, Harmony. Thank you for being here. Glengan also says, I really think that Smith needs to speak the truth going forward. If she gets into the Carney Fear thing, she's toast in November.
Well, I think she's toast any which way you look at it. I don't think she's backing out at this point. She's made her decisions. She's on the Federalist side. She definitely has her eyes on Ottawa. At least that's what I kind of see it as here.
And Stephen Jensen,
hello. Maybe not just Ottawa. Potentially the private industry as well, meaning she has sided with Carney heavily. He has a lot of connections within the business community. Maybe she's looking for an out in that means.
And as I was saying, Stephen Jensen, hello, and thank you for being here, says, made it. Yes, you did. And thank you for being here. And again, still thinking of you and hoping everything's, working itself out as soon as possible. And now should we go into breaking news?
Yeah, let's go into breaking news.
Okay.
Extra, read all about it. Extra, read all about it.
And starting with from Margot Henley saying, quote, Premier Smith's $400 billion separation cost includes $170 billion as our portion of the national debt. That's not a separation cost. We and our children and grandchildren will have that obligation whether we separate or not. If we stay in Canada, our obligation continues to grow with overspending in the ROC.
Yeah, and that's the big point here. With Trudeau and Mark Carney, they've racked up more of a national debt than the entire history of Canada. The debt's going to keep going up. We need to pull out now. If that means we're going to have $170 billion, which we shouldn't because of our remittance payments. But if that's what it means, it's going to be cheaper to get out now than it is in 2 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever it is. The longer we're attached to Canada, the bigger our portion is going to be. And we have to pay that portion any which way we look at it.
And again, using interesting maths, we will say, and we were kind of trying to speculate what kind of math and calculation Daniel Smith had done to get to that number. And people were trying to break it down, even using Grok and other AIs to say, well, how could she get to this number? And not even the AIs could get to it. And now we're seeing more transparently that maybe it was intentional to try to get as much money in there into that calculation. And now, again, she had to backtrack and say, no, I'm actually going to calculate it better and discuss with other people that might have better information.
Yeah, she's got that funny math there. Let's keep going on to the next story.
Very similar to Carney. And next we have a video that says Canada explodes as Imperial Oil moves Calgary headquarter jobs to Texas. 900 gone by Julian Talks Canada. Should I play it?
Yeah.
At 3 o'clock on Monday afternoon, the staff of Imperial Oil filed into a conference room at the company's Quarry Park campus in southeast Calgary, a room they call the Summit. And John Whalen, the CEO who'd had the job since May, stepped up to the lectern to tell them their lives were about to change. He talked first about the company's values, its long history in Canada, a producer almost as old as
This is one of the oldest companies within Canada, specifically with Alberta. It has deep ties to the community, to the people. People have worked there, their children have worked there, and their grandchildren. Multi-generational company here. For this to move down to Houston, this is the first of many companies, and this was a company that was doing extremely well. They're not doing it because they're doing poorly. They're doing it because they want to do even better than they already are.
the country itself. And then he told a room full of people, some of whom had given this company 20 and 30 years, that 900 of their jobs were gone. Most of them right here in Calgary. The room went completely silent. No questions allowed. And the part of that announcement that nobody read out loud in that room, the line about the building itself, is what should worry every working family in this city more than the layoff number did. Because the people walking out of Quarry Park that afternoon weren't just losing jobs, they were watching the heart of a company leave town. The email had gone out the morning of September 29th, an all-hands meeting. By the time it ended, the rumor mill that had been churning for weeks had its answer. 20% of the workforce, gone by the end of 2027. Approximately 900 positions. And the way Whelan framed it, this was about Imperial continuing to outperform its competitors. Difficult choices made from a position of strength. But here's what that framing left out. Some of those Calgary jobs aren't being eliminated at all. They're being relocated to Houston, Texas, or overseas entirely. Roles that lived in Calgary for decades, the analysis, the commercial work, the corporate functions, picked up and shipped to the United States. The problem is what that does to the people left behind. These are skilled, dedicated workers. That's not my phrasing, that's the Federal Energy Minister, Tom Hodgson.
And I think this is the typical story for a lot of companies in Canada right now. And Carney is trying to keep this under wraps, but he's no longer able to. We're in a recession. Tons of companies are going down to the States. If Trump gives a year-to-year review, which would be best case scenario, not even canceling the USMCA, you're going to see massive more companies leave to the United States. This is a big problem, especially because this is hitting the natural resource sector. It doesn't need to hit this sector. You can understand why it's hitting the other sectors, but with natural resources, the only reason this is going on and they're moving to the States is because government policies and government regulations.
Who said he was deeply disappointed, and then pivoted straight to talking about Canada becoming an energy superpower, as if the slogan does anything for a 55-year-old engineer in Quarry Park updating his resume. The company says it'll save $150 million a year by 2028. That's the line that matters to a shareholder in Texas. It's not the line that matters to a family in Calgary. And what Whelan hadn't said yet, what was sitting underneath the whole announcement, was where the company itself was going, because the 900 jobs weren't even the part that should keep you up at night. Remember the line about the building? Here's what it actually said. Imperial Oil isn't just cutting staff, it's selling its headquarters. The Calgary campus it's operated from since 2004, the corporate home of a company founded in 1880, older than most of the country it's named for. A tentative deal to sell and lease back the Quarry Park space. Most of the Calgary jobs that survive the cut don't even stay in Calgary. They get moved to the Strathcona refinery.
And again, what do I talk about here? Federalization. And when we talk about natural resources, again, the only reason they're leaving is government regulation. They don't need to leave. And the fact that they are leaving, this is completely intentional by the federal government. They want to scare these big investors out of town, these people that have been there a long time that would invest in new pipeline projects or new natural resource projects. Why? Because I believe eventually the federal government wants to be the investor. They want to federalize these natural resources.
In Edmonton in the back half of 2028, leaving what the company calls a small presence in the city that's been its base for 2 decades. Now, you'd assume a company does this when it's bleeding, when it's losing money and has no choice. That was bad enough to imagine. Except, that's not what happened here. Imperial posted $949 million in profit last quarter alone. Read that again. Nearly $1 billion in a single quarter. And it's still gutting a fifth of its workforce and selling the building. In its own release, the company said it's leaning on technology and its relationship with its major shareholder to do it. That shareholder is ExxonMobil in Texas, which owns just under 70% of Imperial. So this isn't a Canadian company forced into a corner. It's a profitable one, steered from Texas, deciding that Calgary is worth less to it than the savings. And the question that leaves, what does that actually cost the street you live on, the school your kids go to, the city itself? That's the part nobody in this fight wants to do the math on out loud. So let's do it. So put it together. 900 jobs gone on one side, a profitable century-old company selling its Calgary home and answering to Texas on the other. Now look at where it lands. Alberta's unemployment rate is already among the highest in the entire country. That's Naheed Nenshi, the Alberta NDP leader, on the record calling this a significant blow to Calgary and Alberta's economy. These are the households that absorb it. The 20 and 30-year veterans who sat in that silent room, people whose mortgages
and we
were built
can
around a
leave it
paycheck.
there. And yeah, I'm really heartfelt to hear this is happening, especially in Alberta, especially when this does not need to be happening. This is solely because of government regulations, carbon taxes, and everything in that nature.
And that's where other questions also arises. What if Alberta was independent? Would this move still have been made? Would the conditions be a lot better for Imperial Oil or any other company that is looking to move towards the States where there's better opportunities, but also where there's less restrictions and it's way less expensive to even try to manage or sustain the campus, for example, because that could also be. And we could also point to saying, well, it's too expensive for them to continue to operate. Even if they're very profitable, it's not worth it as a company. If you're making the ultimate decision of where should we land, well, let's go to where, number one, it's cheaper to hire labor, not cheaper to hire labor, cheaper to hire labor within having like the renting space.
Yeah, and what I'll definitely say here is the federal government wants to pitch this as business uncertainty because of Alberta independence. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Alberta independence has been under the surface for a long time now. It's obviously the government regulations with carbon taxes and everything else. The fact that they would even try to pitch it that it's Alberta independence is really spitting in the people, the faces of the people that are losing their jobs in Alberta right now.
True. And lastly, from Northern Perspective, says, imagine having a prime minister that laughs at a woman who lost her job and became homeless only to then refuse to answer after getting called out on making a joke of it. Well, you don't have to imagine. Here it is.
Yeah, and I give Poilievre a hard time, but this was a absolute fantastic statement. It was said authentically and emotionally, and he did not let Carney weasel his way out. Carney actually left the room, refusing to ask the question at the end.
My question for the Prime Minister is about the human cost of Canada being the only G20 country in the recession. Zara from Toronto lost her administrative job at a real estate business. She can't find a new job and now has to sleep on a friend's couch. What's the Prime Minister going to tell her if he cares enough to stand up and answer? Is he going to tell her that she's just technically homeless and technically jobless?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to wish the Chief of the Opposition, Leader of the Opposition, a happy birthday. I hope his day improves.
This is not a joke. This is a woman's life. This Prime Minister gave us the only recession in the G20, and he stands up and starts joking about her state of affairs. She's sleeping on someone's couch, Mr. Speaker. Will the Prime Minister stop being so flippant about the suffering that he's caused in the lives of Canadians and tell Zara, is her homelessness and joblessness just a technicality?
And it says, just in case you're listening, it says, instead of answering, Mark Carney left, which really says it all. And although I absolutely love the statement, I love the emotion, and he didn't take the happy birthday and back down. He went right at Mark Carney. That being said, that's exactly what controlled opposition is supposed to do. They're supposed to make the Conservatives in National Canada make us feel like there's somebody speaking up for us, but he can't make any change for 3 years. What are we really doing here? We're watching our country crash where people become homeless, sleep on couches, and we have somebody simply voicing an angry opinion. That's all we have at this point, except for Alberta independence. This is a citizen-led movement that hopefully brings change from the citizens. We no longer need the politicians.
True. And again, and that is why it scares him so much and why Pierre is going to come campaign in Alberta and say, oh, we all have to hug Alberta and wrap our arms around Alberta to make them all happy. But in reality, he's just there as a figurehead to voice all our frustrations, but again, not being effective at all at being able to do anything.
Yeah, and I would love for Pierre to be the Prime Minister of Canada one day, but Alberta has to leave. Alberta has to leave long before he even gets that chance. Even if he gets in that position, Alberta still needs to leave. I'm starting to really see all the national Conservatives, whether it's Danielle Smith, Pierre, Poilievre, even Mr. Harper there, they're all looking like controlled opposition, all headed in the same direction, but they're all headed in the same direction at different speeds.
Mm-hmm. But now we'll go into your comments and then we'll go into Alberta Stay Free. Stephen Jensen says, I wasn't very inspired by Mitch. We'll have to see what he puts out on Friday. We'll see.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have felt that way. And, I think Maybe he doesn't also want to give all the details of what he's doing. We need to take over the UCP, and we're going to have a leadership review of Danielle Smith. If that's what you're trying to work on behind the scenes, you don't want to really reveal what you're doing. You actually would want to pretend like, okay, yeah, we're just gathering more signatures so we can call people. Make yourself look like less of a threat to Danielle Smith rather than more, because behind the scenes she must be trying to clear out her caucus right now of independent supporters.
And now Norman says Danny is getting Kenny'd.
I really hope so.
That's why she's scared. However, Glenn Gunn says Mitch is ticked off right now. He lost his way, I think. Mitch does know Danielle better than any of us, and this was a long time coming after the sale. Oh, yeah. That's about the refinery.
Yeah, and I want to see unity within Alberta independence. And I mean, Jeff Rath put out another statement today saying, we're going to get our voters, you get your voters. It's like an us versus them with inside of the independence movement. It doesn't need to be that way at all. I think that's why the Fringe went on today and kind of brought a lot of these issues up. That being said, he did get us this far, and he is the only one really looking to take over the UCP. So.
And Glenn Gunn says this was a long time coming after the sale. ExxonMobil that bought Esso.
I got to go get my glasses.
Only stayed here while the market said it was good. Trump made it possible. Libs made it impossible. True. And now Norman, interestingly, says, I worked there on the bombing range, more safety meetings than work, but 1 billion barrels a day between 3 processing plants. Maybe you can give us a little bit more insight as to what you think they're moving now. But Todd says, yeah, they're leaving because of Justina and Mark. Sick and tired of them and their policies, and the climate activist boomer libtards love it. Exactly, because again, it just goes to, and part of that propagandization or propaganda about the net zero policies and climate change might be because, again, they want to be the only ones controlling natural resources. Sorry, my brain is off. I've been live already for 3 hours today. Glenn Gunn says, Ruck, great thought. Todd says, they never would have left an independent Alberta without all the hogwash.
Yeah.
True.
And I'm getting old. I'm needing glasses just to see things now. I feel like I was seeing everything cross-eyed. These are reading glasses.
Because you're tired.
No, it's not because I'm tired. It's been like this for weeks now.
I wear contacts, but I can't see up far away either. Glenn Gunn says, maybe low-income housing for our vets. Yeah, true. And Glenn Gunn says, these guys laugh together. Lyle Norman says, I worked at Imperial Esso on the bombing range. There were more safety meetings than work, but they processed 1 million barrels a day, moved a lot of oil rigs for them.
Yeah, and the rumor is a lot of it is they're replacing people with technology, AI, and things like that behind the scenes and in the office and the headquarters. That's why they wanted to move and sell off their headquarters at this point. I looked a little bit more into it. I don't know how much legitimacy is to those rumors, but if that is the case, that's just going to be the first of many people leaving Canada for the United States.
Todd says, yeah, he left like the coward he is, never answers a single question, like his little weasel champagne.
Yeah.
Champagne, whatever his name is. And also...
that was one of the most poignant times I've really seen Poilievre go after Mark Carney, and it was just absolutely fantastic. Carney left the room. It said so much. There's a lot of division in his caucus right now. He's not a normal politician. He's not used to getting this much heat. I'm not going to be surprised if he just stops showing up for Parliament.
DeBilver says, hi, Nat and Guy and everyone. Hello, and thank you for being here. Rocking Around says, the Quarry Park campus will make a great deportation office, would it not? Says you gotta make lemonade out of those lemons.
Oh yeah.
And DeBilver says, really missed your show. Thank you so much. And again, every other Thursday, I am usually on WDW Pro to talk all things entertainment and the culture war and etc. And Culture Casino was there as well. So got to speak with him again after the interview. Rocking Around also says our vets deserve better for sure.
Alberta deserves better in every way, shape, or form. All the manufacturing is kind of headquartered in the East, and the reason it's there is because the federal government leverages the natural resources of the West. Alberta gets its independence. We're going to build that manufacturing corridor within Alberta, and we're going to make sure we have zero tariff trade with the United States. Both parties have already made it clear that's exactly what they want. Trump originally tried to offer that to Carney, and Carney said no, he wanted to protect his monopolies.
DeBilver says he laughs, he's a joke, and exactly, it's ironic because Carney is the one that's a joke and that's left Canada as the joke worldwide, alongside what he did when Trudeau was in power as well. Tralodite says, too bad these HOC speeches House of Commons speeches can't change anything. They're just a sound bite fart in a windstorm.
Yeah, nothing can change anything that the conservatives can do right now. They're literally controlled opposition, and you even see the mainstream media turning against the Liberals to a certain degree because they want the general public to feel like, oh, we're actually doing something. We're pushing back. Like there is hope for the other half of the country that's voting Conservative, but there is no hope. The hope is gone. The country's going to be crumbled within the next 3 years by the time the next major election comes along. And that's why so many people are pushing not only for Alberta independence, but all the independence movements across Canada that are starting to pop up.
Hopefully. And we'll be behind all of them, supporting them. But now let's go into Alberta Stay Free. And starting with from Corey Morgan says, quote, the forever Canadian nutcases are threatening to boycott Tabor corn because I bought a digital billboard ad down there. Gina Shu, I guess, says, do not purchase Tabor corn this season because...
Yeah, I watched Corey's video. I don't think they're going to be able to take down the billboard, but they're definitely trying to go through the mayor, put massive pressure on there. Then they're going to go through the person that actually owns the billboard. I'm sure they're going to put pressure on him as well. Corey says he has a good relationship with him and he doesn't believe it's going to come down, which is good to hear. But if they're going to do this to Corey Morgan, they're going to do it to all of us every step along the way for any advertising campaign. Once they get more censorship laws in, they're going to be coming after content creators. They're going to come after third-party, third-party advertisers as well. So this is the beginning of a long road. Let's buckle up and let's get it on.
But it also just further proves, I mean, they are the forever Canadian people. They are the ones that always say, oh, buy Canadian, buy local, blah, 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 support the Canadian economy because elbows up. And now they're trying to tell a bunch of people not to support the local economy because of a billboard ad, because somebody has a different opinion than them. And they don't want to listen to it. They don't want to hear the points out. They might agree with them, but they'd rather just continue to harass not just the ones that put the billboard up, but also the business. And next, Scott Robertson says, quote, David Earl saying there's no independent Alberta. This little landlocked area sitting there in the middle of the continent. They're part of Canada or they're part of the US, and now they need to get their heads around that. If they think they're neglected now, they should ask North Dakota.
Yeah, and this dismissiveness is going to come back to bite them in the ass in the long run. I truly believe it. And this is, Captain Canada over there. This is the reason we're in the climate situation that we're in.
And for me, it was always about the idea of showing these people, whether they're in Quebec, whether they're in Alberta, where else they can be in the country, that, this is definitely one of the best countries in the world. And this idea that you can be in Alberta, you can separate, and somehow you're going to have an easier time building a pipeline to Tidewater when you don't have direct access to Tidewater as a nation, as opposed to being part of a nation.
Yeah, you will have an easier time to Tidewater because you have massive leverage, number one, over British Columbia, and you have a willing partner to your south, which you're not going to have the federal government standing in your way from diving into that relationship with the United States. It's this guy's climate policies that's backed up by David Eby and the First Nations tribes within British Columbia, which has been blocking pipelines left and right.
As a foreign nation is difficult for me to comprehend, but you hear that. You hear it.
It's crazy. There's no independent Alberta, right? This little landlocked area sitting there in the middle of the continent. They're either part of Canada or they're part of the United States, and they need to get their heads around that. That's the reality. And if they think North Dakota, if they think they're neglected now, they should ask North Dakota. But that's a different matter.
And for me, it was all...
And this is absolutely ridiculous. We're just a little nobody in the middle of nowhere that's landlocked. Well, you're going to see that little nobody get its independence and then become an economic superpower. And what's that going to say to the rest of Canada? How come somebody that is in the middle of the country is such an economic powerhouse compared to British Columbia and other coastal provinces?
Mm-hmm. The little future nation that could. We will call Alberta. That will, and that can.
Well, I'm just going to keep playing that clip over and over because I think that's the attitude of the Federalists, and they just can't help but let it out here or there. They know they have to run a softer campaign to kind of appeal to the middle, but they just can't help themselves. They're arrogant.
But again, it gets worse and worse as the days go on. It gets worse and worse as the days go on because now we're seeing, yes, technical recession. Well, it's not that technical. Oh, it's going to cost $400 billion to separate. No, yeah, it actually won't. Danielle Smith kind of made up some numbers and added some numbers that shouldn't be there. And every day something new comes up that we can use to get that soft middle on our side because of how bad the circumstances are in Canada.
Yeah.
Every day it gets worse.
And we do have quite a few viewers, so maybe I'll just talk about it now. This Saturday, we're going to go live at 12 noon instead of 5 p.m. When we have a prior engagement around 5 p.m.
Later that day, yeah. But we'll continue to say it more and more because I realized today maybe we weren't clear enough yesterday that there wasn't going to be a show in the morning, so we'll just continue to say it. But next, also, we didn't make the list. Jack says, I told y'all the Alberta NDP had lists. This one's posted. It's posted on Instagram Threads because, of course, it is. Nobody's ever on Threads except the crazies that still think it's a good option.
Oh, this is on Threads? Maybe I'll go over there because I was looking for us and I noticed there's a thread at the end, so maybe it's multiple pages. I was really hoping we made this list. I was kind of disappointed we didn't. I ran into the bedroom. I told Nat, I woke her up. I said, Nat, we didn't make the list. We need to try harder
what
here.
What list are you talking about? C. Thompson and then NYYC. Or is he in New York? Says, here's a list of Alberta SEPIs for you to know the names and beware of propaganda because we have to tell you to beware of propaganda.
Well, I don't see the unacceptable. Oh, there he is. Yeah.
So number one is, do you want me to read them?
Yeah, let's
Number
read
one,
them.
Jeff Rath. Number two, Mitch Sylvester. Number three, Unacceptable Fringe. 4, John Bolton, Alberta. 5, Chris Scott. 6, Alberta Prosperity Project. 7, Stay Free Alberta. 8, Tom Deans. 9, Mandy Ball. 10, Alberta Proud Dad. 11, Alberta Proud Mom. 12, Tajana Chekik, I guess. 13, Chris Barber. 14, Igor Riltsev. 15, Reed Salmon. 16, Rides of Alberta. 17, Marty Up North. 18, PJ The Belt. 19, Tanya Clements. 20, Corey Morgan. And I'm sure it continues.
Yeah, and this is really a badge of honor if you made this list. So my hat's off to everybody on this list.
And if you don't follow anybody on this list, go follow them now. Go search for them and follow them now. I mean, it is a good way to advertise for them as well.
Yeah, but you also have to figure the government has their own list.
Yeah.
And once they get enough censorship power, they're going to be coming after a lot of people on this list. And I'm sure they have a much bigger list that we're probably on as well.
Yeah, and as I always say, hello to our government minders. I hope you learned something today by joining us. And lastly, from Jason Levine says, quote, in case you didn't know, after getting 61.7% support on the 2021 referendum for removing equalization from the Constitution, this is what Premier Jason Kenney did. First, he wrote a letter to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau asking for a meeting about the results. The response was no. Next, he wrote a letter to the First Ministers asking for a meeting about the results. The response was no. Finally, Kenney gave up. This is the leadership that Kenney offered to Albertans who trusted him. Now he's asking us to lead, not leave. When the truth is, Albertans cannot fix the Canadian system. We have tried. It's time we lead and leave.
They're playing the same game with Danielle Smith before, and they broke her down. And now she's a Federalist, and now she's siding with Mark Carney and signing ridiculous MOUs that are going to hurt Alberta in the long term.
And retroactively.
And she's trying to pitch it as it is an absolute good thing. We need somebody within that spot that's no longer asking and just doing, bringing the CPP back to Alberta, making the Alberta sheriffs. After we take a referendum, just declare unilateral independence if the government doesn't want to go into negotiations. Quit asking and just start doing. Yeah. If they say we need a consultation and we can't have a binding referendum, we need a leader that's going to throw that referendum anyway and then hold the government to account. And this is why we need to take over the UCP and get a new leader in there.
And kind of like what Culture Casino said during our interview, I don't remember if it was during or a little bit after when we were just saying goodbye to him, but y'all are being too Canadian about this whole separation thing, about this whole independence thing. Stop being so Canadian.
This was supposed to be 6 months, then it went to 12 months, then it went to a year and a half, and now we're at 2.5 years, and she's starting to pitch it as a 3.5-year project it's going to be, and that we have to get approval from the federal government because of the Clarity Act. Quebec passed Bill 99. We should be passing bills to protect us so we can actually ask the questions that need to be asked. At a certain point, we need a leader that's going to take action, and Danielle Smith isn't that person anymore.
Glenn Gunn says Bigfoot has teamed up with the UAPs. No idea what that means. What are UAPs?
I can't remember.
Okay. So
unidentified aerial phenomenon.
Okay.
It's the new UFO
Isn't
term.
was it unmanned aerial phenomenon?
Unmanned aerial phenomenon.
Silverfeet says, guy looking fly with the specs, but now he took them off.
We're having a lot of trouble seeing.
I think you're just tired. Glenn
I'm
Gunn
not tired.
says-
It's been like this for 2 weeks. Stop saying that.
Okay. But then he doesn't want to go to the eye doctor. Oh, man. To deal with a man. Glenn Gunn says, if your feet stink and your nose smells, you're built upside down. Glenn Gunn also says, Ontario corn is way better than Tabor corn. Todd says, nothing from BC getting through to the rest of Canada from Vancouver if you don't let us build all the pipelines we want. So shut up, you pair of goofballs.
Yeah.
And Glenn Gunn says, Bar if I would never play this idiot again, he quit. True as well. Todd says, the Dakotas is where I may go if we don't get independence. All my ancestors are from there, the Schroeder critters.
Absolutely fantastic.
And Todd also says they forgot Todd Schroeder on their fearful list. They forgot quite a few people, including us. Hold on. Looking Around says the House of Commons is really just expensive theater.
Yeah, especially at this point with a majority government.
Valerie Drosel says Carney was actually was laughing after Pierre Poilievre talked about the woman on the couch.
Yeah.
Charlie Knight says Carney is a sociopath, so yes, he cannot empathize with people that he's made homeless or worse.
$195,000 for 3 meals on an airplane, absolutely ridiculous. And then he's disregarding and laughing at people that are literally homeless and sleeping on friends' couches. And this is a lot of Canadians right now. They're going homeless. Well, Mark Carney's cashing in with Brookfield Asset Management. Their stock's up 16%.
Kusher says, good song for independence, My Way by Limp Bizkit. Thank you for the suggestion. And Philip Vespa, hello. Thank you for being here. Says Danielle introduced her digital provincial ID scheme. It's not just about the referendum. Even if we lose, they will not stop until every independent supporter is behind bars via digital ID tracking.
Yeah, and we were going to bring that up. I think we're going to talk about it tomorrow. I took it away because I didn't want to use it as the opening segment. We get censored anytime we talk about digital ID. I meant to move it down into one of the other segments. I think I forgot. But this is exactly how they're bringing in digital ID. And this is how they did it in other countries, but they refined it because there was a lot of resistance in the beginning. So they started bringing it in more and more sneakily. And now you have what you have in Alberta. This is how they're bringing in a digital ID.
And thank you so much to Stephen Jensen for the $5 super chat saying, I can't see how it's legal for the government to pick a side and campaign against a legal referendum by the people on both sides. Government should be neutral. Oh, if only.
Well,
they knew that.
I think that's the least of our worries. The fact that they won't even allow us to have a binding referendum is even more concerning than this fact. I mean, at every single turn. This is why we need a hard-nosed government. This is why I'm starting to think Jeff Rath is a little bit more right, and we need to get rid of Danielle Smith quickly, take over the UCP, and just play hard-nosed football with the federal government.
Stop being so Canadian about it, as Casino says. Justin GP says, leave guy alone, Nat. If he wants to go blind, it's his prerogative as a man. That's literally what. Why are men like this? Why are men like this?
What's going to happen if we declare a binding referendum, then the federal government says no, but we hold one anyway? What's going to happen then? And then we get the results? And then let's just say we win that result. Either they're going to go into negotiations or we're going to declare unilateral independence at that point. And that's ultimately what I think we're going to have to do after this October 19th vote.
And Philip says, I know how the left works. Even if they get what they want, it's never enough. And that also kind of goes to answer what you were just asking.
Yeah.
But now let's go into Alberta politics and then we'll continue reading your comments.
He doesn't discuss federal politics. He only concerns himself with Alberta's independence.
And starting with Jeremy saying, Calgary succeeds when Canada succeeds, meeting today with mayors from across the country today to tackle housing, affordability, public safety, and jobs.
Meeting with mayors from across the country. Who gives a shit? This is a politician telling you we need more politicians so we can stay in Canada. Absolutely ridiculous. We have a citizen-led movement that says no more politicians, no more lies. The people are going to do it, and we're going to show the rest of the world how it's done.
Hey Calgary, it's Mayor Jeremy. I'm on the Edmonton train this time, on my way to a meeting of Canada's Big City Mayors Congress. Mayors from across the country are getting together to tackle some of the biggest issues facing our communities: housing affordability, public safety, economic growth, infrastructure, and building stronger downtowns. I'll always stand up.
We're going to talk to mayors about everything we failed at over the last decade so we can continue to fail. That's what I hear.
For Calgary. And I'll always stand up for Alberta, and I'll always stand up for our country. The idea that Alberta becomes somehow stronger, richer, or more influential by walking away from the country is a dead end. Our jobs depend on trade, our businesses depend on investment, and our economy depends on connections that stretch from coast to coast and around the world. The real challenge facing Canada is whether we can build communities where people want to live, work, raise a family, and build a future. That means housing people can afford, safe streets and reliable transit, strong local businesses, thriving downtowns, parks and public spaces that bring people together, infrastructure that keeps pace with growth, and good jobs and opportunities for the next generation.
Who the hell does he think he's talking to? We know you're lying through your teeth. We had none of that. And you're one step away from putting on the turban and the Halloween costume with that jacket he's wearing.
True, that too.
Oh.
But again, politicians meeting in closed rooms, talking amongst themselves about how they'll continue to not do anything for the people that elected them. That's literally what they just perpetually do.
And they just say that they're doing all these things, that everything is great. Like everybody can see what's going on, especially in Edmonton and Calgary in the downtown cores.
And because I have to say it this way, it's a circle of jerks.
Yeah.
That's all they're doing over there in their little meetings while they continue to praise each other for not doing anything productive. Next, from Britain is Broken.
This was funny.
This is me and my new religiously exempt blade. If I don't carry this, my magical elephant god will hate me.
Yeah, and this goes right in line with what happened in the UK.
Hold on.
Oh.
2 seconds.
Thank you.
Stephen Jensen, thank you so much for the $2 super chat saying Edmonton moving forward with 15-minute city plans.
Yeah, exactly. Like they're just moving right along with everything they want to do with their federalization of natural resources, their 15-minute cities, digital ID. Danielle Smith is flaunting to the digital ID like she did something great. Oh, it has your citizenship on there. What? So they can know who to discriminate against, so they can discriminate against all the citizens? Because that's what they do.
But thank you so much, Stephen Jensen. And we'll continue to talk about it again because it is worrying too. But let's see this guy.
And again, religiously exempt weapons within Canada and within the UK, same policies.
Yeah.
They should not have that. And if they have that policy, people from that country should not be allowed in if they want to enact an exemption. Everybody should be equal under the eyes of the law, period.
And kind of similar, but along the same vein, essentially, but not the same, is any motorcycle bike rider or motorcycle riders know that they're pretty strict with the whole helmet policy. However, for Sikh riders, they don't have to because apparently a turban is just as hard and just as helpful to not spilling your brain all over the pavement when you crash. And there's an exemption there too. And lastly, from RTAB Media says, quote, temporary foreign workers and undocumented immigrants are swapping identities, forging red seal and safety certificates, then being paid out in cash, being paid out in cash on government-funded projects in Alberta, of all places.
Sort of part to this puzzle that I've discovered and is the actual the illegal work that's taking place on construction sites. In fact, my understanding is that on some construction projects in Alberta that are receiving federal tax dollars to fund that project, there's illegal labor working on those projects. I wonder if you could comment on that, and what do you think the government needs to do to prevent this from happening in the future?
Well, one of the things is we actually, get undocumented workers or TFWs that have moved over from the agriculture sector into the construction sector, coming into our office, sometimes in large groups of 20 or 30, because they feel more comfortable talking to us. And they are working, not always, but sometimes on government-funded projects. And sometimes they're getting paid cash, because what's happening is one contractor will get the work, then subcontract it to another contractor. That subcontractor subcontracts.
It seems like a bunch of excuses to me. I think the solution is simple. If you're not able to manage workers and keep them in the fields of interest like agriculture, no more temporary foreign workers, no more foreign workers, period. And this will increase the wages of Canadian citizens and Albertans as a result.
Off again, and the actual general contractor doesn't even know who is actually on that site properly. And then we're actually seeing fake documents, fake red seal tickets coming in, fake safety certificates also appearing. And sometimes they are being utilized that there are members that they say are on that job, and they're not on that job. Someone else has taken their identity and posing as them, and then getting paid cash under the table to be working on
construction sites right across Alberta. And this is not just a one-off. We are seeing this in thousands of undocumented workers working in Edmonton and in Calgary. And this is just one example that's happening in Alberta here. It's happening right across the country.
Yeah, and again, absolutely ridiculous. The solution is no more temporary foreign workers, not for Tim Hortons, not for the construction industry, not for anybody.
Especially in the construction industry, like imagine how scary and dangerous it is that there's people faking and forging documents that actually tells whoever's hiring them that, oh yes, he knows what he's doing. He has a merit and has experience in what they need to be doing with electrical, for example, thinking of red steel.
These are extremely high paying jobs, number one. And if we have no temporary foreign workers, the government is going to be forced to train citizens and pay for the schooling for citizens to get those red seals. There's benefits on that end, but there's also benefits on it will up the wage of your average worker.
But again, when did we get to the point where temporary foreign workers, guests in the country, are feeling comfortable enough to do these kinds of shenanigans, probably that they've got used to doing back home? Again, as someone that lives in Mexico, I know there's a lot of that goes on here as well, but to transport it to the country where you're being invited in as a guest, as a temporary foreign worker, and then trying to play those shenanigans and the country letting you because they want to turn a blind eye because nobody can say anything. This is how you snowball a small problem into a huge one and eventually maybe buildings collapsing or catching on fire. Okay, now we'll go into your comments and then into Alberta personalities. Todd says, bring your popcorn to question period, same as going to the movies. Yeah, it's a very expensive theater. Todd says, I can't see nothing anymore either. Guy constantly switching glasses. I think that dumb phone and screens have wrecked my eyes.
Well, yeah, I only needed glasses for reading for the longest time, but now I feel like I need it for both.
There could be many reasons, but again, we'll take you to get checked in at the doctor. At least here, I mean, you are able to get an appointment pretty quickly and the diagnosis pretty quickly.
In Canada as well, because the eye doctors are actually lending drugs and stuff like that.
But they're not real doctors. Todd says, if you haven't worked the rigs, shut up about being Albertan, okay? Todd says, everyone there better not be allowed to own a vehicle too. Walk or ride the bus, you bloody zombies. Sean says, that's not a knife. That is a knife. Yes. And Sean asks, Nat, hola, ¿cómo está? Bien, ¿y tú? Gracias. Oh, hold on. Stephen Jensen, thank you so much for the $5 super chat saying, I'm starting a new religion with religious exemption of 223, 308, 357 high-speed wireless communication devices. And Todd says, not eating enough carrots, guy.
Maybe, yeah.
I'll start getting carrots. Todd says,
I used to, as a baby, I used to eat too many carrots. When my mother, I wouldn't eat any food. So the doctor said, well, does he eat any food? She goes, once in a while, he eats carrots. So she's like, oh, well, put him on the floor and try to feed him carrots. And then I eat carrots nonstop. And that's the only thing I would eat. And I would constantly demand carrots. And then my nose turned bright red. Or sorry, bright orange. Yeah.
But it's funny because we realized that the same thing happened to both of us when we were babies. Again, we did not know each other. But I was also told that one of the few things I would always eat were carrots. And again, my nose turned orange. And people were worried, let's just say. But apparently it's completely normal. Hopefully. Maybe it was too many carrots. Now your vision's all messed up. No,
I need to start eating some carrots, I guess.
Hold on, where are we? Oh no, I lost my thread. There we go. B. Karwandi says, please pass on, go to the elections Alberta and make a complaint against Thomas Lukasik because he is not a third party guy. I just did mine. Thank you for the suggestion.
Yeah, I don't know the ins and outs of that, but if you want to explain it more in another tweet there, so we can actually disperse the information to the audience a little bit better.
Dal Robinson says, NEP all over again, Premier Smith. Why are you condemning multiple generations to be in institutionalized debt that slaves the Ottawa Mafia takes billions from Albertans. She went from hero to zero.
Yeah, I don't know how she's even trying to pitch this as, oh, you're going to have to take on all this debt. Okay, we'll take the $170 billion, even though we pay so much in remittances because it's only going to go up year after year after year. They're spending like there's no tomorrow. They're just printing money at this point. The debt's going to double every couple of years.
Vespa says North Dakota is one of the best states to live in, much more affordable than California, New York, or Canada.
Well, and a lot of people don't want to live there in the United States because it's so cold, but Canadians are already used to the cold, so
Kusher says the middle provinces are already landlocked by our own government, by regulations. Exactly. And they can't intercommunicate either. And then they federally regulate export in order to landlock it the way we're landlocked by our own government. Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, this talking point makes no sense if they knew how trade doesn't work in Canada already.
And if you realize how much leverage we have once we're our own independent nation, not over the United States, we don't need that. They're already willing dance partners for us. But for British Columbia is completely isolated. And if we simply cut off the oil, the amount of leverage that is on top of the billions of dollars that we could have of shared income coming in through that pipeline.
The felon attorney, I like that username, hello, says Canada has geographic and climate deficiencies that will always hamper it. Better to have smaller individual competitive countries. Probably the same for the US with a national divorce. But I think, especially right now, it makes a lot more sense for Canada. And then more and more provinces and people within the provinces are realizing it.
Oh, yeah.
Chocolate says, that is not a knife, that's a knife. Valerie Drosel says, was he a young global leader? I'm guessing that mayor. Primors 007 says, hola, Natigay. Hola, and thank you for being here. And, oh no, you corrected a typo. That was all.
And let's go into, what do we got? Alberta Personalities next?
Let me just find where we were. There we are. Okay.
Or Alberta Politics?
Alberta Personalities.
Okay.
Let's go to Alberta Personalities.
But they need to understand that Albertans are done. We're leaving, and there's no more conversation to be had. I know that's upsetting to people.
And let's go to the Dark Horse podcast with Braid Weinstein and Heather Hine. Says from LA book.
And I think this is very relevant, especially to Alberta. What we're doing is we're trying to save the West, and there's a few countries trying to save those values, and those values are our Western values have been there for decades, and the Canada and the rest of these globalists are really trying to take that away right now and turn towards a more communist model.
Feels like many different pieces, but it's actually all about preserving the West. Whether it's the fentanyl addicts hanging out in their fentlines across the West Coast, or the immigrants in Paris burning down Paris, or bathrooms in Seattle that are being broken so that they can't function weeks before they're existing for. Like, all of this is of a piece, which is we need the West. We have benefited from the West. We will continue to thrive under the rules and responsibilities of the West, and it is giving up on those, which many politicians who call themselves liberals have done, which is causing the decline. Feels like many different...
And we can't save the West by staying in Canada. That's why we want our independence, because those values are at Albertans' core.
And because, again, in Canada, they're trying to do the exact opposite. They're trying to destroy those values and impose new ones, where they themselves have painted and positioned themselves as the gods that give the morals from up on high, rather than from a god themselves.
Well, and a lot of those Western values came from Christianity. Let's be frank, whether you're Christian or not, people understand that that's what the West... that's what cemented the West and is at its absolute foundation. And I think that's why you have Alberta and Quebec are the first two really uprising and trying to save those values.
True. But again, it's systemic. And also, if you just look at what's happening in Alberta or Calgary or Edmonton or Vancouver or Victoria, it seems like it's just a very contained problem, but we're seeing this problem spread throughout. I mean, it's even in certain ways already kind of splashed here in Mexico City as well, and places that are, but usually we're highly religious, for example. So those are not exempt either. And also thinking, well, you're not alone, but also, is it a more globalized, to use that word, plan?
Yeah, it is a globalized plan.
I know. I was making a sarcastic quip about it. Do you want to go to Alberta's Canada or comments?
Well, there's a lot of comments coming in. Let's read a few comments and then we'll go into Alberta's Canada. And that section is a little bit longer, and so is Alberta in the World, and so is Rumble today.
Great. Troglodyte says Crocodile Dundee reference. I don't know which one, but sure.
I think the knife.
Oh, okay. Got it. I only watched it once. Sorry. Todd says, go to Edmonton for that matter. Sean says, that's okay. Still don't get how Democrats here became so anti-labor, because it started to become and go against what was most beneficial to them.
Yeah.
And the kind of world that they were building for themselves.
Well, and that voter block started moving away to them as they started trying to build intersectional voting blocks. Mm-hmm. They still claim to be for the workers and the family, but that's only through rhetoric. At its core, the Conservative Party now is the populist party and is the party of faith, family, and freedom.
John Robinson says, hi, Nat and Guy, missing Premier Ralph Klein. This was a while ago. Todd says, LMAO, you're a rabbit guy. Your carrot story. And Justin GP says, Bugs Guiney. That sounds weird.
I think I'm the opposite of a rabbit because I don't like eating vegetables.
You do. You eat more than I do.
No. The last time I bought I used to have these spinach drinks because to force feed myself some vegetables, and I wanted to do it in a quick manner. But the last time we bought it, it just went rotten because I didn't eat it.
Maybe that's why you're going black. Todd says the Albertan currency will be Bucks. Todd says Raffies. Sean says Dark Horse Podcast lives near Canada. I think they live on Orcas Island or San Juan Island, something around there. Yeah, it was one of the islands, but yeah, they moved away from big civilization. Let's just call it. Sean says the billionaires' rhetoric is getting real old. Oh yeah, it is, because they're the ones that are the billionaires and they're the ones that are complaining about themselves. It just makes no sense.
Let's go into Alberta's Canada now.
Okay, fine. Let's go into Alberta's Canada then.
I'm angry. I've had enough of these people.
And let's start with, I just saw a comment asking, where's Jeff Rath? Jeffrey Rath says, quote, I think they got the economists mixed up with communists. Let's see what they say.
Well, I don't know about you, but I don't need anybody to tell me we're in a recession. And now we're not even calling it a recession. It's a tactical recession. What a pile of horseshit. I can't believe what this Carney gets away with it. And supposedly he's an economist. I think they got economists mixed up with communists.
And that was just a fantastic little clip. Yeah. And Jeff's been posting a lot of good things lately.
Another thing that would go well in a shirt. Yeah. On a shirt. Also from Jeff Rath, hold on. Says, quote, breaking, new Chinese surveillance vehicles arrive in Canada. Run as fast as you can away from these.
Yeah, just on time with the new digital IDs that Alberta's giving out saying our citizenship is on there.
YG Wave says, quote, Chinese-made electric vehicles have officially begun arriving in Canada with more than 2,900 imported during the month of May alone. The shipments mark the first imports under a deal Prime Minister Mark Carney reached with China in January, which cut Canada's tariff on electric vehicles, I'm guessing.
Yeah, and of course they're going to build manufacturing facilities over here. The problem is, if you've seen the modern Chinese manufacturing facilities, it's all robots. They literally have no lights in a lot of these facilities because robots don't need the light.
And again, when I arrived back to Mexico a few years ago, these were basically the only cars on the road. Number one, not fully functioning. Number two, with dealerships that don't fully work for the people that are buying these cars. But number three, now we're also starting to see, a few years after the big boom of Chinese electric vehicles, more and more of them catching fire and people not knowing what to do and that was a possibility and then not being able to fix them. So it's all, it's a trap. Don't get one. I'm not making any financial suggestions, but I'm just saying. Steven Jensen, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Says, I have to wear trifocals. You'll be fine. Yours would be bifocals.
Yeah, now I need bifocals. What's the trifocals?
I think short, medium.
Oh, there's long. A medium as well? I thought there was only short and long-term vision. Well, maybe it's my medium vision that's messed up. Because the TV that we look at for the articles and stuff's medium vision. Okay.
I kind of see blurry as well, but just when I'm tired. That's why I was saying maybe you're tired. But thank you so much, Steven Jensen. We'll let you know what he ends up having to wear. Glass, what was it called? Bottle glass.
I don't like wearing glasses on the streams either because the lights have massive reflections. Yeah. And then I have to adjust the lights, but it makes everything weird.
Well, we can get you contacts like me.
No, I'm not wearing contacts.
They make my eye tear up if I wear them and if I don't wear them. There's no winning. But next, Steve Cooner, MLA, says, quote, tourists visiting Vancouver are shocked. I don't blame them. Says they come from normal cities without radical pro-drug experiments, and they are shocked and appalled by what they see on our streets here. The NDP have turned Vancouver, the most beautiful city in the world, into a national embarrassment. Tourists are openly sharing their disappointment after witnessing open drug use, street disorder, and feeling unsafe in areas that should showcase the best of British Columbia. This is gross incompetence on full display. Under the NDP, everything related to public safety is suffering. I will say it was even before the NDP. Just got words with them. We need real solutions now. now, expanded compassionate and voluntary care for those trapped in addiction and severe mental health crises, a justice system that actually holds offenders accountable, and a strong, well-supported police force empowered to restore order. We need to clean up this NDP-created mess and make our cities safe.
The government is intentionally crashing everything, so when they come with the solution, everybody's going to accept it, and that solution is federalization of natural resources. I guarantee it.
And because from Global, it's a picture. Because from Global News, it says, utter disappointment, Vancouver tourists increasingly noticing street disorder and open drug use. It's a picture.
Shared some recent...
No, it's not. I thought it was a picture.
Tourist comments.
Street upon street of homeless people who were clearly under the influence, really glad to leave this place and will not be going back. It is living off past reputation. Save your money.
We saw a lot of homeless people, and at home we don't have so much.
These perceptions matter. Tourism is built on reputation.
BC's tourism minister unavailable for an interview.
1.25 speed? Oh, okay.
Review Tuesday. Destination Vancouver says it supports compassionate, evidence-based solutions to the overdose crisis.
For us, this is not a debate about whether or not people need help. They do.
Royce Schwinn adding his 200 volunteers are increasingly getting asked about what tourists are seeing. And for the first time in almost 30 years, the VPD helped train them on how to answer questions about safety.
That's not right.
Shared some recent tourist...
Who cares about answering questions? Start cleaning up the freaking streets already. Like...
And again, 6 months before we left Vancouver, we actually lived on Water Street, which is very close to East Hastings as well, one of the roughest parts. But now basically all of Vancouver is really rough. But I do remember, because again, I worked with students that were newer to Canada as well when I worked in 2 different high schools. And they would always also ask and be like, I was never told that it was going to be like this. I don't feel safe going out even during the day, much less alone at night. And even people and people that came to visit would always tell me, how do you live like this? Because even coming from places like Mexico City or Colombia, for example, they were always shocked at how horrible and damaged the city was.
Well, and then the amount a vacation cost within Vancouver too is absolutely ridiculous. And then that's what you're going to get. You're not even going to be safe really walking around at that point.
Especially if you're taking a cruise or something like that. And that's the first port and the first place you're landing and you're taking it from there and then you have to go back.
Mm-hmm. Not as much these days though.
What?
The cruises. Not as many cruises are coming in because of the new policies of the United States. Still a lot, but not like before.
And lastly, speaking of BC, Angela has spoken and says, quote, if a government feels they can only move forward by censoring their own citizens, we have a huge problem, says Carrie Lynn.
And it's like all these politicians, whether it's Poilievre, Carrie Lynn Flynn, every single conservative, even Danielle Smith, they got the right answers. They just don't ever actually fix anything. Danielle Smith, CPP, still in Ottawa. Alberta Sheriff, that hasn't happened yet. I mean, we can go on and on and on. She'll run on that and run on that and run on that. Finally, maybe she'll make it happen and then she'll run on that some more. I think Carrie Lynn Flynn is another one of these people. I just don't see the authenticity behind her words.
One of the things you just mentioned was censorship. And just a few hours before we sat down for this interview, the Senate in Ottawa committee voted 7-1 to support the criminalization up to 2 years in prison for anything the government deems to be denialism about residential schools, whatever that means. It's not super clear. And one of the things that you've made pretty central in your platform is repealing DRIPA and sort of going back and looking at what has built this country and what are the issues for treaty people, for everyone else. And I'm wondering, how do you balance all this when Ottawa seems to be focused on plugging their errors and just deciding?
If a government feels they can only move forward by censoring their own citizens, we have a huge problem. And I think we do have a huge problem here in Canada, but in BC, I'm now the leader of the Conservative Party of British Columbia. I intend to take these issues to British Columbians and to win in an election with clarity and focus on these issues. I'm a negotiator.
How many freaking more years is this going to take? Like, this is obvious. Private property protected. Clean up the damn streets. I mean, Danielle Smith ran on the same thing. She ran on Poilievre. They're sitting there for 3 more years waiting for another shot. Well, Mark Carney absolutely destroys the country. I think this is classic controlled opposition from the Conservative Party at this time. The point of controlled opposition is So somebody has the voice of the other side, so they feel like they're being heard, so they don't actually vote, and the citizens don't take action themselves. Like what's happening in Alberta, the actions that the people have decided, no more with the politicians. We're taking action ourselves, and we're going to fix it.
It's an outlet.
And that's why the federal government is so scared. And that's why they need politicians like her, like Danielle Smith, like Pierre, Poilievre. So the citizens don't rise up like what's happening in Alberta right now. And we need to keep going because we are over the target.
And Stephen Jensen, thank you so much for the $5 super chat saying, close is phone texting distance, medium 1.5 meters, long is 1.5 plus meters. For your vision.
So I think maybe my medium distance is, maybe I should ask that because last time they just tested my short and long vision.
And that's why I say that doctors on London drugs are not real eye doctors. We'll take you to a real eye doctor. Because I have to go too because my eye keeps tearing
Well,
up.
I used to work at London Drugs when we were trying to flee Canada. I had like 4 jobs. That was one of them. I worked in the photo department. That's actually how I bought the camera gear because it was 50% off.
It was all planned.
It was, that being said, I went to the eye doctor because it was a discount because I worked there as well.
It'll be fixed. Don't worry. Women come in and actually fix things.
Yeah, it tries to fix everything. I swear to God.
And most of the time I do. Do you want to go to comments and finish that
Thank you, my lovely wife.
You're welcome.
Oh, what do you mean?
Well, that's why men live longer. Married men live longer because they're being forced. They're forced by their wives.
Well, the way she babies the dog, our dog's gonna live forever.
Possibly, she's a furniture piece by now.
Let's go into some comments and then we'll go to Alberta and the world.
Hold on, let me see. Where were we? Sean says the Albertan peso is going to be valuable, so I'm sure. Yes. And hold on. Sean also says, actually, what is the Albertan currency? Peso, dollar, yen, pound, ruble, lira? I'm guessing it'll be dollar for the beginning, but US dollar.
I think they'll temporarily convert to the dollar before they go to their own, hopefully 100% gold back currency. A lot of times when they do currency, it's like 10% or something like that. We need 100% gold back currency there. I don't even mind if it's digital as long as it's backed by 100% gold so you can trade it in for actual gold at any time that you want.
Stephen Jensen says black gold and yellow gold. That's what the currency is going to be. Hold on. Sean says they moved to Portland and left Portland. Yes. And Lyle says, oh, guy, you're in the old man club now. I started going blind 2 years ago. Got the magnifying glasses to help.
Oh, I keep my glasses always, I have 5 pairs of glasses so I can grab them
But they're those reading glasses you get at the grocery store.
Oh, I was going to say something and now I've completely
Magnifying
forgot.
glasses?
I can't remember.
You're in the old man club now?
Yeah, I am in the old man club. I know that. She tells me every day, don't worry.
But Sean says, and I concur with Sean, don't get diabetes, guy.
I'm not there yet.
Well, going blind. Sean says, I'm embarrassed by my city, the city with the highest per capita homelessness population of any city in the USA. The streets are disgusting, and now it's outside my house. It keeps getting worse. Believe me, that's exactly how I felt. And I was like, I'm living in Vancouver, supposed to be the first world. I'm coming from Mexico City, one of the most crowded, overcrowded, and dirtiest cities in the world. And I feel safer and better every time I leave Vancouver and go back home.
It's not even like it's not even hard to fix these situations. Everybody knows how to fix them. Other countries have fixed them. We just look at them and do what they did. Mm-hmm. The globalists are intentionally crashing Western society because they want to destroy it and build it in the new vision. Most likely the communist style vision of China.
Mm-hmm. Sean says, didn't that not pass, the law regarding denialism of residential schools? No, it was proposed. That was incredibly scary, but apparently, no, that they did not include that one. For now, I will say.
I don't know, because somebody on the stream said they didn't, but then I seen another article pop up that it is in there, so I'll have to check again.
Sorry, I had to fix my eyes.
Oh, your eyes are going out.
I had to, no, it's not going out. It keeps steering. Todd says, I need a wife. LOL. Go get one quick. And says, before I die. It shouldn't be too hard for you, Todd. So just go find one. Justin GP says, actually, married women live longer because they're not married to women. I guess non-lesbian women.
That makes sense.
We would have to caveat. Yes, because women married to women are on the highest rates of abuse, actually, if you didn't know the statistics.
Well, and this is why I think independence movements globally are so bloody important, especially from these bigger countries like Canada, because if you have Alberta gain its independence or other smaller countries pull out of the EU and do phenomenally well, it's obvious that this entire thing is a charade. They're intentionally crashing the West and trying to destroy it. And if a couple nations can break free and show how it's done, because the answers are obvious at this point, good policing, 100% backed currency, don't use this globalist economic system that they're using. Use real fundamental economics based on real economy, real products being made, real resources coming out of the ground. Base your society around your workers and your families.
Vikarandi says, we're going to need our own militia before we separate. That's why I keep saying, stop being so Canadian. Start looking at how other people and other places have done it as well, if necessary. Or at least declare, make a unilateral declaration. Why can't I talk? Unilateral Declaration of Independence.
Yeah, I don't know, because isn't Danielle Smith coming after the firearms now? How you can have a militia if they take all the
Again, they're
firearms?
2 steps ahead, or they think they are. James Hunt says, for BC, we can cut off more than just oil. There is power as well.
Yeah, there's a ton of things we can do with BC. BC is in the palm of our hands once we get our independence. And we already have a temporary trading partner, or not a temporary trading partner, but a major trading partner with the U.S. that allows us to play the long-term game with British Columbia and absolutely crush them until they give us access to the coastline. And then we'll be good trading partners, because, I mean, I still like everybody in BC other than Vancouver and Victoria.
True. Philip Vespa says, the passport fear-mongering by federalists are lies. Yes, they are. Says Serbia gives Kosovar citizens a passport because the government still recognizes them as part of Serbia. Canada could do the same. Could, again, will they want to? I don't know. But again, yesterday we talked about how even it might not be that beneficial to conserve or to keep a Canadian passport when Alberta manages to separate, because the Canadian passport is losing its prestige day by day, essentially. Number one, because Canada continues to allow more and more people with less and less vetting. So places like the United States and others down south as well, Latin America, Mexico, eventually Mexico, but the rest of Latin and South America might start looking at Canada as a threat, because who are they letting in? They're not doing background checks, and we keep finding people with Canadian passports wanting to go to the U.S. to do nefarious things, be they originally from either China and or elsewhere, somewhere more east and in the middle. But also, we were talking about the antics of other people that hold Canadian passports that have been going to beaches, for example, and doing disgusting things, making the Canadian passport lose prestige. So do we really want to keep it? We're at that point now.
Yeah.
Where we can ask those questions. Charlotte says, I only eat animals that eat vegetables. Same.
That makes you a vegetarian.
What animals eat meat?
Oh,
like lions and stuff. Sorry. I was having an issue in my brain between
I need glasses.
carnivores and herbivores.
I need glasses. You need a brain.
I was trying to think what fish eat. Plankton.
Fish eat other fish.
And sea matter, plankton. Kusher says, you also got to remember the entire legal system is rooted in the Bible. All our laws started from the Bible, and a lot of people, as much as they want to forget it, I mean, most people in the West still kind of, even though they're trying to erase it, people's lives are ruled exactly by biblical principles. Even the atheists, the laws you follow and the morals that you say you have gotten from who knows where come from the tradition of Christianity and that made the West.
Yeah, the issue with Christianity today is the left is trying to put on that skin suit and take over a lot of different kinds of churches. And I'm sure that's going to be the next move coming if we're able to rise up and resist this.
There's a weird sound over there. Charlotte says they have hidden the recession. It's been there for quite a while. Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
And regular people have been noticing it for a long time now. And Chocolate says it's convenient. Our vision goes as our women show signs of age. Hey, I am not showing any. Am I showing signs of age?
Let's go into Alberta the World if we can.
Then we'll continue reading your comments, but I hope not, Chocolate. But I am I older or younger than I look? I don't even know. Well, let's go into Alberta and the world. And starting with from CBC Watcher says, quote, after fueling church burnings and national outrage with overhyped, unverified mass graves claims that
Yeah, we can just go right into the clip here.
Okay, it's from CBC, and CBC never learns.
A priest in Nova Scotia is facing backlash over comments he made about residential schools during a university graduation ceremony. He praised what he referred to as a residential school in Honduras that he helped set up decades ago.
The kids that come there are happy, they're joyful, and they're grateful. They say what a wonderful thing it is.
And bad things happen anywhere there's children. Public schools have abuse rates at 50 times the rate of, between 10 and 50 times the rate as religious schools. A lot of people don't know that. That's recently been brought up in a lot of different debates in the debate sphere as well. Yeah.
To have a school like this.
Graduating class.
Reverend Norman McPhee was accepting an honorary degree from Cape Breton University when he made the comments. Both the local church and the school have issued apologies. The words residential schools have such a dark historical connotation in this country.
It's just absolutely ridiculous. Their tone they're going at him with, the fact that they're forcing apologies. This is ridiculous.
So we brought Brett Ruskin in to help us understand. Brett, what exactly was this priest referring to?
Yeah, so, David, this could have been, a light celebratory day with graduates receiving their degrees, including Reverend Norman McPhee receiving this honorary degree, but his comments veered into discussion about residential schools. Obviously, we know the history of residential schools here in Canada, the decades of trauma and abuse at the hands of government officials, as well as church members as well, targeting Indigenous members, Indigenous families and communities all across the country. And so he said in his comments that the residential schools in Canada don't get good press, but that the school that he and his church started in Honduras does do good work for that community. So here's a bit more of what the priest was saying during his statements.
That school has worked so very, very well. The people in Sydney still support it. Thanks to you, the people of Our Lady of Fatima, for your wonderful support of the residential school. Schools don't get good press. This one gets very good press in Honduras.
Now, all of these comments are being made to an audience in which there are members of the First Nations community. There are survivors of the residential schools there. And so obviously, understandably upsetting to hear a member of the church talking about and touting the benefits of a residential school. Here is one of those members of the audience with their reaction.
From the history of what we've seen with residential schools and the Catholic being involved in them,
and you can leave it there. This is a direct war on Catholicism specifically, but yeah, bad things can happen in residential schools. Bad things happen in a lot of different things, but this mass grave hoax is absolutely ridiculous. The fact that they're collecting billions of dollars from this to this day and they haven't dug up a single body, I'm absolutely done with it. And not all residential schools are bad, and that's what they want to frame it as worldwide. In Central and South America, and especially in a lot of poor communities, they're giving out a lot of the resources.
Again, this myopic, retarded view that Canadians have that, everything that happened in Canada happened elsewhere and it's only important and we can only talk about the context in Canada because it's the only context we know and we don't want to study or learn about what goes elsewhere. We just want to pretend and assume that number one, we're the best, but number two, we're the victims and the ones that have suffered the most. No. In Latin and South America, residential schools and projects by the church have actually brought a lot of kids up from poverty, allowed them to actually go to school, get a better life, go find better opportunities, and yet they just want to make it about what's going on in Canada when his context and what he was talking about has nothing to do with Canada. Sorry.
And thank you for the super chat there.
Yes, thank you so much, Lyle Norman, for the $10 super chat saying, I'm sick of the East already. My family has culture of the country. We are not sport shooters. We harvest animals for our families. My granddad farmed with horses also. He did not care for tractors. Thank you so much for the $10 super chat.
Firearms need to have a completely new culture in Alberta. I would say shooting classes within schools would be absolutely fantastic. Firearm safety courses as well. Having firearms in self-defense and having completely different laws when it comes to purchasing weapons as well.
But, also continue with the traditions of how firearms have been used in Alberta traditionally as well, like hunting, for farming, et cetera, et cetera.
It's ridiculous, the level that Canada has taken firearms to. You're not even allowed to defend yourself with firearms anymore. And that's one of the main purposes. The main purpose, in my opinion, to have firearms is to protect yourself from your own government as well.
That too. Do you want to finish the clip or no? That infuriated me.
No, that's good. That's good for that clip. I will say I'm completely fed up with this residential hoax they want to keep portraying. And we all understand bad things happen in the past. You don't need to keep reliving it over and over and over again.
Hold on. Wall Street Ape says, quote, I verified this and it's true. Germany can no longer raise an army simply because of how many Muslims are now German citizens. Let's see what he says.
Germany can no longer raise an army simply because of how many Muslims are now German citizens. Now, allegedly, and I will say allegedly here, Germany's Chancellor Merz has privately admitted that he's worried about the country's ability to raise an army simply because Germany doesn't want to put weapons in the hands of hundreds of thousands of Muslim Germans. And he'd be right in worrying, because a recent study of young Muslim Germans showed that nearly half expressed latent Islamist attitudes, which are, you know, the kind of attitudes that turn Muslims into terrorists, and more than half said that their religious commandments were more important to them than even German democracy. And if you ask me, these don't sound like the attitudes of Germans. These sound like the attitudes of Germany's enemies. Germany can no longer...
And whose fault is that? Who allowed them all in?
Oh, yeah.
Who didn't manage or do anything about it in the past 30, 40 years since we've seen this as a rising problem?
Yeah, it's going to be it's going to be a problem. The EU's only way out of this situation, and they've been planning it for a long time. They want World War III with Russia. It's $74 trillion worth of natural resource assets. The problem is they don't have a military. They don't have a way to manufacture that military. They claim they're going to put $800 billion in it. That would only be a start because they've relied on the U.S. so heavily, and the U.S. isn't getting involved within that right now. Now, that being said, the 2028 election, there's going to be a ton of money pouring into that election for anybody that will support a new war for Europe, because that's a way for them to reset their economy.
Mm-hmm. But also, back to close to Europe now. Russell Brand says, quote, the UK arrested a man for this, and it's deeply disturbing.
We want bacon!
And he's yelling, we want bacon. And there's no Muslims there, but he's yelling, we want bacon. And then we'll see the cops' reactions here.
You're not allowed to say you like bacon, but he's around here, lad. Explain that to me, please. Yeah, so it's anything that might be perceived to be racially abusive.
The UK continues to get crazier. Is it a country or a prison island?
And it's just comical. It's freaking comical at this point. Yeah. do you have a criminal record? Yeah,
I said I like bacon. What if you're lined up on at a McDonald's and say to the guy, oh, I like bacon. Yeah, I had bacon on it.
You're not allowed to serve bacon at McDonald's in the UK.
No, because everything has to be halal now. God. Marian Offel says, and again, say these kinds of things to anybody outside of the UK, certain parts of Europe, Canada, and the US, and they'll look at you like you're insane still. Like you try to give these stories, and I used to try to give them when I was doing my Spanish show. People wouldn't believe me because of how ridiculous it sounds, and because of how they don't believe that people can be so, I can't use this word, but cucked into behaving, into just accepting and living like this, especially in their own countries. Sorry, Martin.
And this was very heartfelt. This was the gentleman who did lose his life within the UK. We talked about this a lot on Rumble. I felt it necessary to put it in on YouTube today, and that's why I put the other two stories, because it was related to this one. But I believe his sister made this.
And Marian Ufo says Henry Nowak's sister posted a heartbreaking video of her and her brother together, a reminder that behind every headline is a family whose world has been turned upside down.
No, I love you so. I swam across, I jumped across for you. Oh, what a thing to do. 'Cause you are all yellow, I drew a...
And that's a sister that's never going to have a brother for the rest of her life, thanks to the gentleman within the UK with the religious exemption knife there.
And his mother and his family members and everybody else and the police people that didn't believe him when he said, I'm bleeding out, I can't breathe.
Because they've been trained to respond like that. There's a systemic problem within the UK policing system now. They've trained their police to react in such manners.
And they've silenced, again, I mean, we played another version, a much more lighter version about not being able to say I like bacon even. But again, this is where those kinds of things lead.
Yeah.
This is where it becomes acceptable, at least in the minds of those that are outraged more by the protests happening and by the reaction of the common sense people that are justifiably and obviously outraged about what happened to Henry Novak than what happened to Henry Novak.
People are upset in the UK, and they need to be upset on a global basis here, because this is happening in all of the West right now.
And it's coming to you soon. I mean, in Canada, it's already there.
Yeah.
Basil the Great says, quote, wow, can Keir Starmer sink any lower? I mean, he is now blaming the reaction to Henry Novak's murder living on Elon Musk.
Thank you for the super chat from the real Steven Jensen.
Steven Jensen, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Says Germany industry is dead, no energy to build arms. That too, because they destroyed their own energies.
Yeah.
Their own energy system, sorry.
Well, all of Europe did, and they literally destroyed. They said, we're going to go green. We're going to destroy our nuclear power plants at a cost of $10 to $20 billion per power plant before they even had the green energy up online. And then when the green energy came online, they said, oh no, we're not getting enough power for this. Let's bring our coal plants online. And when all of this was happening, where was their manufacturing going? It was going over to the US. That's why they're hollowed out right now.
But let's go back to asking a very simple question. Can he sink any lower? Yes, of course, you always can. So now he's blaming Elon Musk on what happened to Henry Novak.
Yeah, more censorship, more arrest, because you want to avoid the mistakes that you've created in your own country. And this isn't just a simple mistake, a one-off. This is a systemic problem with the politicians and the police at this point.
We need to also assert who we are as a country, because Musk, again, has been interfering in our politics in the last few days, trying to whip up division. That is not who we are in Britain. In Britain, we are reasonable, tolerant people. When we have a terrible case like Henry's case, Henry Novak, we react calmly, as his family have done. When it comes to disgusting images on Grok, we take Grok on and fight, because that's who we are as a country. We need to also...
If it wasn't for Elon Musk, you would not know, we would not know what really happened to Henry Novak, and we would not see the outrage of the real people of Britain and of the UK.
No more tolerance. We're a tolerant people. Yeah, we're done. No more tolerance. And Albertans are done. No more tolerance.
Not a good thing to be
We're
tolerant.
having independence. We're not working with Canada anymore. We're going to say bye-bye.
God.
Okay, let's go into comments, and then we'll go into RUMBLE. And Keir Starmer is just absolutely the worst.
Infuriating. Let's throw bacon at him. Justin JB says, all we need to do is dodge the tampons off the Canadian military thrown at us. That the Canadian military will throw at us. Yeah, I guess they can use, what are those called? Those things that shoot...
Guns?
No. For kids.
I don't know.
That have like rubber.
Oh,
not rubber.
Nerf guns.
Nerf guns, yeah. I'm sure they will have the Nerf guns loaded up with tampons. Sean says, I can understand only one wife and divorce, but had another one as a fiance and was a couple days before marriage, but that one hurt. She was a model, but just couldn't live with her. Sometimes beauty only goes so far, right?
Let's continue with the comments.
Michael Drader says, Canadian passports, those were issued free inside every box of Rice Krispies, correct? Basically, at this point. Sean says, it's all you get here, tents in Oregon, if that helps.
Look, I understand not everybody agrees with me on this situation, but you need to stand up and say, we're Albertans. You can keep the Canadian passport, because what Canada is going to want in return is any Canadian that wants to come into Alberta, they want to have them gain automatic citizenship. This is how they're going to infiltrate Alberta if we do manage to get our independence. So we need to say no to the Canadian passport, because it's going to be a big stipulation for the Canadians when we go into negotiations. They're going to think about every mechanism they can use in order to take over Alberta once it's independent.
Steven Jensen says, that was necessary back then out here in the West. Pew pews. Michael Drader says, a Nat rant. Love that spicy side of you. He doesn't let me do them that often because he thinks it's awkward. That I had a rant.
Oh, yeah, your rants are great.
No.
Yeah.
You're always going, shh.
Oh, and remember, we have to fix the other video because it got demonetized.
I did.
You did? Okay.
We got copyrighted on the Amelia video.
I
cut
AI
that part.
music,
The AI music. I cut that part off. But now it makes sense. I guess. Sean says residential schools are part of the woke religion. An article of faith. There is far more historical evidence for Jesus than there was for mass ending and graves at schools.
Well, and there's something else with this. They're defending it so hard because the UNDRIP laws are going worldwide. There's other countries that have already adopted them as well, like Chile, places in Central America as well as Europe. But they're going to want to build this residential school lie on a global basis. Tip of the spear, again, is Canada, where they're trying to test all this stuff out and refine it.
Justin GP, I agree with this, says, don't give Guy a pew-pew, he's half blind. Yeah, no more for you. Not even the Nerf guns. Michael Drader says, the only good orange shirt belongs to Team Netherlands. Michael Drader also says, guess in Panama there was a jailbreak involving 2,000 inmates. Wonder which security guard fell asleep watching the cameras. I mean, I'm sure he's not going to be having a good day today.
Well, in a lot of these South American countries, Central American countries, the prisons are owned by the inmates.
Mm-hmm. Sean says, I like bacon and I'm Jewish, even, and cupcake Muslims like bacon too, even if they pretend they don't. I mean, who doesn't like bacon? I only like the thin one, though. I don't like bacon. British bacon. That one's gross. Or what they call Canadian bacon.
I like all
the thick
kinds
one
of
is
meat.
gross. The one that gets crispy is a good one.
Yeah, I don't mind it.
Michael Drader says, bacon is universal for all palates. Yes. Sean says, Michael, if I know the lowlands, I used to live in the Netherlands. Interesting. And another place that also decided to make itself fall. Todd says, okay, hold on, because I need to read what happened to before. I need to go back up. It's because the messages get all mixed up sometimes.
Or just keep going.
That's what I'm trying to do. Charlotte says, friends bought a beautiful old building on West Pender right beside the bad area. I feel bad for them. But again, there are some very nice buildings in Vancouver that unfortunately, like, even if I had all the money to buy them, I wouldn't choose to live there.
Well, you can't buy
And Pender has gotten worse
the amount
and
of
worse.
taxes you have to pay even after you own a property and it's fully paid off. You're still paying a stipend to the Lord.
Harmony says,
the Lord being the master carney there.
Yes. Harmony says, it's sad to see our elites and establishment believe how stupid we are. But we're brilliant. Yes, Harmony.
Yeah, we need to get much more hard-nosed after this October 19th referendum. And I'm talking about we need a leader that's going to put a binding question, even if the government says no, go forward with it anyway, in a direct defiance of what the federal government is saying, hold the referendum, and then declare unilateral independence once we win that binding referendum.
Troglodyte says, don't get any ideas. Troglodyte says, I've had 3 wives, single now, and my life has never been so peaceful.
Yeah, I missed the peace.
So do I. Good says, Rebel News put out a thing on Saskatchewan independence now too.
Oh, I'll watch that tonight.
Yes, that's good.
I'm always interested in Saskatchewan independence as well.
Yes. Joe Lawrence Channel says, I have 10 kids and 12 grandkids.
Wow.
Do you guys have room for us if Alberta doesn't leave?
Well, we got that much that room. We can point you in the right direction.
Yeah. We can point you in the right direction. And again, there's a lot of open space here in Mexico. And you can always, my dream has always been there's this really old, basically falling down haciendas. Used to be like these big ranches, essentially. But now they're falling apart, so they're very cheap. And you kind of have to pay to restore them. But it's like acres and acres of land and these huge, elaborate colonial and post-colonial houses that were built very well. You just have to restore them. And then, those fit, 200 people. You can make it into a hotel. That's always been my dream, to kind of like eventually have enough money saved up to restore one of those and then have it like half and half, like half production studio, half living space and space for cows and stuff. Troglodyte says, in Manitoba, my father hunted jackrabbits with a .22 when he was 6 years old to help feed the family. Again,
most people in the United States as well, I lived in a lot of the southern provinces, kids start shooting when they're like 6 and 7 years old most of the time.
Mm-hmm. James Hunt says, just imagine going to a restaurant and ordering a BLT. Yeah, you're not allowed to now. You even say that you like them. Troglodyte says, a lot of Canadians died freeing the Netherlands during World War II. And now look what they chose to do that. Hold on. Sean says, Netherlands definitely a better chance, I assume, at the World Cup. Oh, that's about to start. Mexico City's falling apart trying to prepare for it. We had 8 years to prepare for it, and they're repaving the streets today, like a week before we're supposed to start. Michael Drader says, Belgium made the semis 2 cycles ago, even beat out Brazil. Oh yeah, get ready for a lot of soccer or football talk I guess, because you don't like it.
Whatever. I watch UFC and sometimes boxing if there's a big match. And there's been a lot of big boxing matches lately because the Saudis are pumping massive money into it.
And Sean, thank you so much. Exactly. Says English bacon is gross. So is Canadian bacon, which is ham. Exactly. It's ham. It's not bacon. It doesn't belong on breakfast. Thank you. Sean says Nat is definitely the settler and Guy is the reacher. You should have seen me when I was trying to reach. Guy. I did not always look like this. Michael Drader says, love for my fellow passport brother Guy. I'm getting Panama. Michael Drader's looking at. Rage Against Machine says we may have to start a homestead for free thinkers.
There was a clip I didn't grab today. It was of maybe I have it in RUMBLE. So maybe it was about a feminist talking. I think it is there actually. It was about I'll leave it for RUMBLE when we go over there.
Todd says restore one of them colonial buildings and make it into a rehab center. LOL. Well, I guess from Canada, rehab center, like people, escapees from Canada. I would do that. Sean says procrastination is always a big part of events, especially if you're Mexican, apparently. Yeah, we always like to leave everything till the last minute.
Every stream is an event with Nat, and it's right to the last second.
It is in our blood again. I mean, we are big procrastinators, and you've been learning. No, but you have to kind of now accommodate to the fact that everybody here is always even a little bit late. It leaves things a little bit to the end.
I don't work with everybody. I work with you, Nat.
No, but when we have to like go wait for someone, everybody always like it's just a thing here.
No.
And that's why our society doesn't move forward as fast. Michael Drader says, won't be there for Alberta Day? Not sure what that means. But now we're heading over to RUMBLE. Before you head over there with us, please don't forget to subscribe. Again, it really is what helps us out the most. There's a 30-second wait screen and that will pop up on RUMBLE. Our username is right there.
And we have quite a few stories over there today.
Yes.
Just because we did one show, I grabbed more stories than normal.
We'll see you over there in 30 seconds.
Let's get ready to rumble!